President Joe Biden stated it's a top priority to determine who's responsible for a series of mysterious health incidents affecting U.S. personnel, widely known as Havana Syndrome. Biden said in a statement after signing into law the Helping American Victims Affected by Neurological Attacks Act of 2021, or the Havana Act, "We're bringing to bear the full resources of the U.S. government to make available first-class medical care to those affected and to get to the bottom of these incidents, including to determine the cause and who's responsible." The new law will subsidize care for victims and require the administration to report to Congress on the episodes. In this video, Defense Updates analyzes why finding the root cause of Havana Syndrome is crucial for the U.S. Let's get started. This video is sponsored by the free-to-play military vehicle combat game War Thunder. We talk a lot about military vehicles on this channel, but what about trying them out for yourself? In War Thunder, you can choose from more than 1,200 playable vehicles from the 1930s to the 1990s and go to battle on more than 80 theaters of war. You can fly aircraft, helicopters, drive tanks, and command ships of all types and sizes, which have been carefully recreated from their real-world counterparts. It's available as a free download on PC, PlayStation 4, and Xbox One with cross-platform support. So grab your friends and give it a try. All viewers of Defense Updates that register using the link in the description below will also get a free premium tank, aircraft, or ship and 3 days of premium account time as a bonus. These strange symptoms experienced by dozens of U.S. officials, and in some cases their families, has been a mystery. There was speculation that these were caused by a secret high-tech weapon and a foreign hand was involved. For example, 2 CIA agents assessed that they were attacked with a sophisticated microwave weapon while visiting Australia. The CIA officials reported hearing ringing in their ears and feeling nauseous and dizzy, symptoms similar to Havana Syndrome. According to a report in America's GQ magazine, mobile phone data revealed agents from Moscow's Federal Security Service, FSB, were in the vicinity of their hotel room at the time the visitors fell ill. GQ reported, "While in their hotel rooms in Australia, both of the Americans felt it, the strange sound, the pressure in their heads, the ringing in their ears." The circumstantial evidence pointed to a global campaign as part of which Russia seems to be targeting U.S. officials. Interestingly, in several cases, the officers were thought to be traveling to discuss countering Russian covert operations with foreign intelligence agencies. The National Academies of Sciences, Engineering, and Medicine had concluded in a report that the most probable cause of the series of mysterious afflictions that affected American personnel abroad was radio frequency energy. The report indicates that the incidents were the result of a malicious attack. It attributes the illnesses to directed and pulsed rather than continuous energy. This basically implied that the victims were targeted purposefully and that this was not the result of more common sources of microwave energy, such as a mobile phone. The report does not point a finger at a specific country, but it mentions significant research in Russia/USSR on pulsed radio frequency technology, as well as the exposure of military personnel in Eurasian communist countries to microwave radiation. A microwave is a form of electromagnetic radiation with wavelengths ranging from about 1 meter to 1 millimeter, with frequencies between 300 megahertz 1 meter and 300 gigahertz 1 millimeter. It's to be noted that microwaves travel by line of sight. Unlike lower frequency radio waves, they do not diffract. Dr. David Relman, a Stanford University professor who led the committee, wrote in a preface to the report that the committee was not in a position to assess specific scenarios involving malevolent actors. Yet, he said, the mere consideration of such a scenario raises grave concerns about a world with disinhibited malevolent actors and new tools for causing harm to others. The panel stated its findings were hampered by the government's slow and uneven response to the incidents, in which patients were evaluated by various methods and clinicians at different points in their illnesses. Because the information made available on patients from China was too sparse and fragmentary to be able to draw any substantive conclusion about their cases, the report focuses on events surrounding the U.S. Embassy in Havana. There is historical precedence that indicates that Russia may be responsible for these attacks. The Soviet Union inundated the American embassy in Moscow with microwaves in the 1970s and 80s. The low-power frequencies recorded in the embassy was named Moscow Signal by United States intelligence officials. The Moscow Signal was a reported microwave transmission varying between 2.5 and 4 gigahertz, directed at the Embassy of the United States, Moscow, from 1953 to 1976, resulting in an international incident. The U.S. government eventually determined it was probably an attempt at espionage and that there was no significant health effects on embassy staff. The microwave transmissions were only 5 microwatts per square centimeter, which is well below the power level of microwave ovens and well below what would be needed to heat anything. However, the frequencies were 100 times more powerful than the Soviet Union's maximum exposure standards, and this caused concern among U.S. officials. In a 2014 document, the National Security Agency discussed a microwave weapon used by a hostile country, which people having knowledge have revealed to be Russia. These attacks are hard to detect, being invisible, making them totally different from traditional attacks like gunfire. Also, since they've resulted in varying levels of symptoms, they're hard to quantify in terms of severity. It's to be noted here that different people may exhibit different levels of symptoms, even when the exposure is the same. So it's possible that the method will see continued use till they're completely exposed and a counter is developed. The idea seems to be to create confusion and destabilize the American diplomatic outreach, and this is the reason why finding the root cause is critical. It remains to be seen how the U.S. government counters this suspected onslaught. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more videos like this. Hit the like button if you find the video interesting, and kindly provide your feedback in the comment section. This will help us improve.